Hey guys, so it is day 16 of my RUHCUS project, actually day 17 because it's after midnight, but we'll call it day 16. You notice my dog is behind me scratching, and my head is glowing because I just put some shea butter on it. Day 16, okay. I'm still sort of reeling from the retreat that I went to at Hope Springs Institute in Peebles, Ohio. It's up in the Appalachian Mountains, and I just really had some truths sort of happen in my life during that time, and so I want to sort of set intention in this video about what it is that I'm looking for out of this process, which is so much bigger than just like the fact that I shaved my head. And I don't think I knew that when I decided to shave my head, but I do think that what is becoming clear is that there's some larger universal calling that I'm supposed to be heeding, and that shaving my head was the beginning of that process. One of the things that came up for me at the retreat during one of our nighttime we do a spirit house wrap up where we light a fire and wait for the fire to collapse, and when it collapses then we sort of speak over it and talk about our day and those types of things. And what came up for me was this sort of repetition that kept saying the same thing again and again. And what it kept saying, you have to die to self, Sonya, you have to die to self, Sonya, you have to die to ego, you have to die to ego, die to your ego. And it's such a terrifying concept. One, just die, right? Like, it's like, I don't want to die. I'm sort of digging life right now. I don't want to die. And then having to unpack the die to my ego part. And what's become clear is that, like, this head of mine is a representation of my ego. The way that I feel about it is a representation of my ego. The reason why it makes me uncomfortable is a representation of my ego. Because that's all about how it is that I want the world to see me, right? And that a lot of that is about my own sort of warped need for external validation. And so wigs and earrings and makeup and cute clothes are a way to make sure that I don't ever go unnoticed. And sort of my entire life is constructed around not being invisible, right? So I'm loud and I'm audacious, and I have the big wigs and the lashes and the lipstick, and all of that is about being seen. And I'm a performer on stage, and all of those things are about being seen. And one of the things that makes me really uncomfortable about being bald is that when I am not when I'm just out in the world, people they look at my head and then they move on. I am not garnering any sort of attention the way that I used to. I'm just, and particularly when I'm not dressed up and that type of thing, nobody notices me. I become sort of invisible, which I always thought was going to be something that I'd be phenomenally frightened about. But I think it's really what I need. And the saying that came to my mind today, I was in conversation with a good friend of mine, Denise Jolly. She's amazing. One of my favorite human beings on the planet, absolutely, by far. And talking to her today, what came up for me was, what I said was that I can't be a vessel for anything if I'm full of myself. And it's probably going to be a Facebook status tomorrow. But I think it's so befitting. Like, so my two intentions, here's what I want right now to manifest in the world. That I want to be a global vessel for healing, right? So that I want to be a container that holds this ideas and thoughts and movement towards healing, and that I'm able to pour that around the world. The second thing that I want is I want mass access to people's hearts. And I know that's sort of like, but here's why it works for me in my brain. That the mass access to people's hearts, as long as it's rooted in me being an empty vessel, is perfect, right? So I'm able, because if I'm an empty vessel whose purpose is for healing, then when I get that mass access, I will use it appropriately. But in order to do that, I've got to get out of my own way. I've got to take the Sonya out of it, right? And so I've been trying to figure out what that looks like and what that means. And one of the things that I'm clear it means is that I'm going to have to be bald a lot longer than 30 days. And that makes me nervous. But, you know, if it makes me nervous, that's part of it. I think one of the other things is probably that I'm going to have to go through a period of time where I'm makeupless. I just have to go through a period of time when I'm not cultivating external beauty, so that I can empty the vessel, right? So that it holds what it is that I want it to hold, which isn't about me. You know, it's not about me, and so I need to figure out all the ways in which I make it about me. And a lot of that is about the way I adorn myself. So that part's going to be an interesting thing. I had a show tonight. It's the first performance that I've done bald, and I sweat like a pig from my head. And I always knew that I sweated from my head, and it was one of the reasons I started wearing fake eyelashes, is because mascara, the sweat from my forehead would run into my eyes and then my mascara, and then I would be crying in the middle of a funny poem or looking overly dramatic in a part where it really wasn't that deep. And so I started doing the fake eyelashes because of that. Yeah, I was just hot and pouring sweat. So I think that if I'm going to perform bald, I'm going to have to, take a washcloth, like a little towel, that I can wipe my head in the middle of the show, because otherwise I will run off anything I have on. Like, it's sort of ridiculous. So, lots of interesting things just in my life right now, just up in the air. Lots of transition and changes. But, you know, I'm clear about what it is that I want. And so I'm working really diligently to get there. I go to Cancun in a few days. My homegirl Shanice is getting married. Rooming with my girl Michelle Sewell. So I'm excited. Cancun should be good times. Alright, guys. That's day 16. I'm almost done. And then I get to journey on and do a new ruckus about a new thing, because it's never ending. But yeah, I'm excited about that too. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. I'm thinking tomorrow is going to be in the house doing work around ruckus type of day, but we'll see. Alright, night people. Love ya. Mwah.